Smokey. Roll 'em.
One of the major things, if not the most major thing, about a Warner Brothers cartoon is the absolute symphonic sound of the orchestra. And the music was written and composed and conducted by Carl Stalling.
Here we go, production number 1171. Putty Bed Trouble, part 6, take 1.
The Warner Brothers Orchestra sat around playing pinochle all day. When they didn't have a Humphrey Bogart movie to score, they sat around playing cards. And Jack Warner said, well, let's put them to work. You can use the whole Warner Brothers Orchestra for the soundtrack, he told Carl Stalling, of the Warner Brothers cartoons. When you think about how they score current cartoons, you know, with synthesizers, the idea of a 90-piece orchestra accompanying a cartoon is so bizarre. And yet that's what makes a Warner Brothers cartoon die. You know, that's the sound, and even at Disney they didn't do that.
One of the amazing things about Stalling was that he basically invented all the cliches. Footsteps. Boing, 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 boing. Bum, 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 bum. The piano glissando, this.
What other composer was as prolific? You know, somebody like Carl Stalling probably wrote 500 or 600 scores. I really believe that as a voice for the Looney Tunes, you can't separate Carl Stalling from that body of work.
An enormous amount of my musical education came at the hands of Carl Stalling, only I didn't realize it. I wasn't aware of it. It just seeped into my brain all those years I was watching the Warner's cartoons day after day after day. I learned Liszt's Second Hungarian Rhapsody because of the Warner Brothers cartoons that used it so often. Famously, when Friz Freleng had a building, a skyscraper built to it in Rhapsody and Rivets. He would often use songs that came out of Warner Brothers feature films that Warner Brothers owned the publishing rights to. So I learned all sorts of songs, and songs from the Busby Berkeley musicals of the 30s. Songs from the Warner Brothers films of the 40s, the works of Raymond Scott, who wrote great pieces like The Powerhouse that were staples, standbys of Carl Stalling's to use for great comic effect in these cartoons. He drew on all these sources and wrote original music to bridge them together.
His ability to quote other music, his ability to go through and quote opera 1 second and quote Gershwin the next and quote a popular song the next was really his trademark.
Try escaping, yelling, screaming, rant and rave. It's no use, you need a shave.
He had to not only write music, but he had to kind of invent a technique to write music for animation and for movies. And he invented things that now we take for granted. When you go to an orchestra session today, if you were to go down the block, you would hear musicians listening to a click in their headset.
It's basically the same thing as a metronome, but all the players have it and they follow the beat. And this is for things that are tightly coordinated, like animation.
And the idea of recording to a click came from Carl Stalling.
That's a major innovation, but that's not what we remember him for. But in addition to all the other cool stuff, that's what he did.